Fear not. Don't worry about the sound. Still going. She's low. Just gonna let things get underway. Oh, that right off the bat. But we can leave that for the moment. We'll clue you guys in what we have going on. So, week 2, we are back in action here this week at Macau. Tommy Boy, the first one, brave enough to take us on the track. So we'll hang with him, see what he's got cooking for us. See, yep, looks like we got the thing, track cam all sorted. So we do got a couple of named corners here. This one's actually a crowd favorite track here for those of you who haven't been with us in the RRR events or any technical events, because Macau definitely shows up a time or two. We have Tommy Boy currently going underway. Oh, and I actually have to set up the broadcast. One moment here. Get that going. I just realized it's going to be a little hard for Jawa to help me out. Cow. Alright, there we go. Started that. And we'll get the stream going for whoever. Alright, excellent. Stream is up there. And we'll see. I think Jawa will end up joining me in the stream. Going to mute the server for a few hours here, so that way we'll get no more pings, and we should be good to go from there. We'll get back in on the action. So, Jumper even joined in with a little bit of a force in some of our other series, making his debut in the MX5 here today. Expecting a big race out of him, but definitely, or sorry, a big race out of them, but definitely off the back foot, as anybody who's been racing with us before has definitely taken this track in the MX5s a time or two. So experience is going to come into play, but he does have, or they do got quite a lot of time to get things sorted. It looks like they didn't take too much advantage of the open practice sessions, but we'll see where things end up. Another beautiful day for racing here. 26 degrees on the track, 7-kilometer-an-hour wind pushing against them through this section of the straightaway. See how that shifts up over the next few minutes. We do have Base Cannon getting things set up for the rookie event. So we'll actually try and get those highlights to you in just a moment. Just waiting to see when I can get that link from Base Cannon. Bruce, we did get you in for the NA MX5 event. Your application was accepted. I see you in the audience there, so you are welcome to join them over in your grid if you're able to race tonight. So we stuck on with Tommy Boy for a little bit. You can see he's feeling comfortable. Let's switch over to Jump Raven, see how they are faring in the Ferrari. Swinging through Black Sands right now, finishing up an outlap. I see a little bit of red through the first couple sectors, but obviously those outlaps do run that way. Jump Raven about to head out for their first outlap, their debut lap, or sorry, their first hot lap, but the debut lap of the season. Let's see what they bring to the table in the early moments of today's events. A little bit power heading into the straightaway. You saw they were already in fourth gear. That's where you want to be planted. Experienced that one a time or two before. as we swing through the long straightaway. This is going to be the longest straightaway of the season for these guys, I think. Although I'm sure there's a couple of these highway tracks that might give them a run for their money as far as going flat out with the MX5s. Only time will tell. Now we get into a significant breaking point. How will Raven fare through Lisboa? Manages to hug that wall and find the line clean. Keeps it throttled down into San Francisco. Already learning the ins and outs of such a perilous track. So that's going to be very interesting for us to watch later today. Oop, let's see. Got a little bit of a mention here. Let me see if this might be. Uh, all right. Sorry, I was just checking in, seeing if I was needed somewhere. I'm waiting to see if my co-host ends up joining me here in the broadcast booth. I think I see Jawa is in the other one. Let me shoot him a quick message.
Good evening.
There you are. I just accidentally broadcasted an announcement that said you joining because I meant to DM you. But anyway, welcome.
Whoopsies.
Welcome
Happens.
for week 2 here at Macau. We're on with Jump Raven at the moment. They're doing their debut hot lap at Macau, the first new racer to tackle the challenge. I think that'll be pretty
Cool.
exciting. It's interesting. I see a couple of racers from the amateur grid all in voice chat together. I don't see anyone from the rookie grid in voice chat together. So that's going to be curious to see who ends up joining.
It'll definitely be interesting, that's for sure.
Oh, as Jump Raven pulls off to a slow, not going to submit an initial time, does not want to share with the broadcast what they've got up their sleeve just yet.
Oh, they're saving it for quali, I bet. Getting ready.
But you know who will share what he's got up his sleeve? The man, the myth, the Parmesan cheese himself.
No doubt about it. I definitely think the Parmesan is going to have some great stuff to show us this evening. He's one of our quicker racers.
That's what I meant. But I'm going to let the auto cam stick on for just a moment here. It seems some of our racers might be having some issues joining, but I'll let you pull some stuff out in the. Oh, looks like Josh Fulton is actually already on the case. How about that? What a guy!
And on
Staying
the mission,
corrected,
he gets it quick.
gets it done fast for the
See Rev there
people.
having a little brush up with the wall there and the Scrub Daddy Motorsport Miata. Love that livery. It's great.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see what exactly we got as far as the other broadcast goes. So actually, that is something I'll check in on, but I will let you take it away for a moment while I do that.
Sounds good. Well, I'm going to take this moment to let you guys know about our current seasons that are going on and some of our upcoming events. If anyone in the chat is interested in getting their race on, we do have currently the MX5 series, which I think is full. If I'm not, if I'm correct on that, I think this split is full. I think the rookie split is still open. We do also have our Formula League, which we have some new open slots. It would be a mid-season join, but always great to have more guys on the grid there. We also have a new season that we're coming out with in partnership with Venus Motorsport. It is the ESR challenge. It is an endurance challenge with I think it's 5 or 6 events, ranging from 2.4 to 6 hours. I think I have to verify that quickly. If anyone in the chat is interested, please come check us out. Our Discord is in the link below. We'd love to have some new guys join these events, and it's always fun to have more guys on the grid, especially for us commentators. Over. Alrighty.
It seems they're still getting stream key stuff set up, so I'll see if Josh can get them another one. It looks like they were thinking about using this broadcast link tonight. So we jimmied the plans there a little.
I know we could multi-stream somehow, but I have to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
I think that's pretty
1 second.
big time. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this going here. Now on board with Thorn, his first season in the pro split. He was in the rookie split last season and did a great job. Now running the noob car is what I think we called that. The great livery, very very unique and artistic, as one would say. Now back on board with Tommy, another one of our resident racers here at Triple R, putting down some great laps. Currently sitting P2 with a 2:54.0. I definitely I'm looking to see his time improve. As Jump Raven has a 2:49 now, leading these pack of cars by a good 3 seconds there. I do stand corrected. It's not showing on our screen here, but or on the stream screen. But Parmesan is set up at 2:46.3, so even faster. Another 3 seconds on Jump Raven there. And all these races this season are going to be longer races. So this is one single 45-minute race requiring one pit stop, I would assume. I haven't been able to test myself how long these cars are able to run on this circuit. Tires shouldn't be too big of an issue, as hard as the only compound these drivers are able to use in the Kuno's MX5. We do have a 30-minute practice session, and following that, we have a 30-minute qualifying session, which leads into our longer race today. This is going to be a race of, it's going to be all mindset today. This track is very difficult, being so tight and twisty, these cars not having any downforce. So definitely have to be very careful on the throttle and their steering inputs today, especially with the amount of drivers we expect to see on the grid. Means we have about 10 so far that have joined the server. Many have not been able to be out of the pits or not gone out of the pits yet to set a lap. There's still plenty of time in practice before that 30-minute qualifying session today. Back on board now with Tommy Boy as he heads down the back straight towards the finish line. Or Thorn here, he should be his first actual lap. If I am not wrong, it is not yet. That was an out lap. See quite a few more racers joining us now, as we seem to have 12 on the track now. A few more guys loading in as we get closer to this qualifying session. About 15 minutes left before these guys start to put down their best times possible. Macau is a very tough track to race in, as, like I said before, very tight, very windy. It requires a lot of skill, especially when other drivers are on track with you. On board with Nick Cruz, I should get the leaderboards up here to give you guys some information regarding this season. Let me do that. Let me see, championship. Bang. Okay, so we do currently have Parmesan sitting in P1 with a 3-point gap to Pet Sabo behind, having 19 points. Tommy Boy followed short behind in P3 with 18 points, so not far off at all. This could be a good day for Tommy if Pet Sabo doesn't have a great performance. You have Dancy followed closely behind. All of these top 10 drivers are extremely close together, only about 1 point separating each of them as we go into the second race of the season, which would make sense. It is only the second race. I'm going to let AutoCam do its thing for a moment while I go and grab some water. And at Black Cat, we do see the engineer here saying practicing for the GT event at Black Cat County or Country this week. Definitely a very interesting track to have some GT3s at. I did a couple laps myself offline, and it's a little tricky. The elevation change has got to be the most difficult part, but it is definitely a fun track. We do hope to see you on Friday for that event. We will have a live stream as well. I'm not sure if we're going to have both races live stream, but we definitely will have the pro split. Back on board now, Sebastian here in the Golf Miata with those bright yellow rims that he's rocking. Back with Parmesan, our current leader of the practice session with 2:45.9, which is a 4/10 increase, or a decrease, I should say, from his last lap, even faster, making that gap even further to jump right in there in P2 with a 2:48.6. I know some of these the times don't seem to be updating quite exactly how they are on my end on the live timing screen, but we will definitely keep you updated on the most recent and current times. You have about 13 drivers now on grid. We've gained a few more names since we last checked. Still expect to have a few more guys trickle in as we get closer to the start of the qualifying session. These are both, this qualifying session is longer because it is a longer race. Giving these racers plenty of time to set their best laps and give themselves the best chance for a good start. Considering Macau is a very, very intense track, you want to have the best starting position you possibly can. Get out away from the chaos as early as possible. Another thing we also expect to see tonight is some interesting strategies when it comes to their pit stop. This is a 45-minute race requiring at least one pit stop. I'm very intrigued to see how these guys will use that to their benefit. We saw that last week with Josh Fulton taking an earlier pit stop, giving him the clean air, avoiding most of the gnarly battles that we saw happen on the stream, which ended up working out really well in his favor, giving him a really nice, he was a P4 finish, if I'm not mistaken. Let me verify that for you. Or P5. P5 position, which is a great start to the season. All right, now on board with Nick Cruz coming down the final straight here to start his next lap. Nick Cruz currently sits with a... There we go. Has not set a time yet, or the last lap they had was a 3:14.7, which I would assume to be an outlap. We'll check back in about a minute or two when he completes that first outlap. We also see Thorn, another driver, has not completed a successful lap yet, just getting their outlaps done, or could be adjusting setup, one of the two. Back on board now with Nick Cruz as we are entering the middle sector, the second sector of the track, which is one of the most technical parts of the circuit. Super tight, lots of intense turns that are off camber and not amazing for these Miatas to make it through. Now on board with Rev 174 as he currently sits P6 overall, just about 9/10 off of Tommy Boy there in P5, so he needs to make up almost a second to get a top 5 spot, as it isn't showing me all of the racers on the screen there. Apologies for that. For whatever reason, we're not seeing that Sabo's lap out there, but we'll see. Hopefully that updates here shortly. We do see all of our top 3 drivers now in the pits getting their final changes made before qualifying starts here in about 7 minutes. Now on board with Dancy in that blue Logitech Miata, which I do personally love that livery myself. Looks great. Back on board with Sebastian here in the Golf Miata. Heading down into the final sector here, sector 3, before the hairpin. This is going to be one of the most challenging parts of the circuit, as this is the tightest corner on the circuit, really requiring these guys to have some deep braking before they enter this. As we see now, Thorn in the second sector, moving through the windiest part of the circuit. And now on board with Max Yang in the Humane Society Miata, which I think he corrected me last time and said that it was. It is indeed the Humane Society, which is a great livery. Love that organization. We have gained a few more racers. We're now up to 15 cars on the grid, which is great to see. Great turnout for week 2 of the RAR promo season.
Sneaking back in here as we see Sam S has a little issue with joining. Hopefully we'll get that sorted in just a minute.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Let's see. Looks like I missed a couple good laps there. Parmesan with a 2:45. That's definitely one hell of a heater. Looking to see if I can get the rookie race launched for our viewers here. See how that one goes in just a minute. As we tag along with Seb Bellew trying to chase down, looks like Rev 174 up front. Always a nice battle between those two, huh?
For sure, and they're very close. Rev is trying to chase down Nick Cruz for that P6 position again, as he just lost it. But these guys are all within a couple seconds here. As we see Rev actually slamming that outside wall before they get to the more technical part. He decides to return to pits, which is not a bad move. Just slamming the wall there, get that damage repaired. And Sebastian decides to do the same.
Absolutely. And looks like we got that rookie race set up. So we'll jump over now. Oh, Jump Raven in a peculiar spate there. Everybody's just kind of jumping back to pits now. Probably trying to get a little bit of a setup together and low fuel together for a final few runs here. It's a long outlap that they're going to have to make use of. So for those of you who haven't watched one of our broadcasts before, in the bottom right of your screen, you'll see the rookie event. So you will be able to kind of tag along with those guys a little bit. Man, everybody just keeps sending it right back to pits. All right, let's check in with someone who I know is not going to be going right back to pits. That's going to be Fudzy, the man who just got out on track. So have a lot of faith for him to keep moving and put some good times down. Again, these everyone's placement on the grid is not finite. And things are still subject to move after this week of racing. I do think we have 2 racers in the real rookie event that might get moved up. We may even have some racers that might get moved down. So big tell here today. Everybody should be pushing hard, trying to find their place in the overall events. Jumper even applying a little bit of pressure on Fudzy here on an out lap. Just keep things interesting, you know?
Oh, for sure. Gotta keep the pressure.
Gotta keep the pressure. Now they do have a 45-minute race ahead of them with, it sounds like, a single pit stop. So that's going to be pretty tough to pull off any sort of undercut or anything like that when there's only one stop on this long of a track. You know, one lap is a huge difference in fuel, but you got to think that no one's really going to be able to conserve an extra lap. They're either going to gas up the right amount or they're not.
No, most definitely. Conserving fuel is pretty hard in these cars, especially because they have no downforce or nothing to keep them moving or plane to the ground. So the saving fuel route typically tends to be much slower than just pushing as hard as you can for every single lap that you're given.
Yeah, we see right here Raven going through the Melco hairpin, one of the most dangerous parts of the track. I fully expect to see some chaos there at some point in today's events. It is a tough and unforgiving one, and if you don't make the corner, you screw over a lot of racers behind you as well. So it's a very pressure-filled lap in at the same time. We are seeing Matt Doom with a 251 over in the rookie event at the moment. That is a strong pace he's got there.
No doubt at all.
Looking to see just at the live timing, see if anybody is currently putting up any sort of a hot lap. We actually see Tommy Boy was out on one before he returned to pits, but don't see any green sectors at the moment. So we're going to hang on with Jump Raven and see if he can make something happen. Looking for 3 seconds almost on this lap. That's a big ask.
No, it definitely is. 3 seconds is a lot to make up, especially on a track this difficult.
And it seems like with possibly a little bit of traffic in front, Josh Fulton ahead currently with a 254, has a lot of time to shave off over the course of the next few minutes. A 253 in the private practice session, so hopefully that shows sign of improvement to come. 29 seconds remaining, so these are going to be the last 2 racers to complete a lap. It does look like Josh Fulton is on a clean one, as in it's a hot lap. He's not on an out lap, so both of these guys will get one final shot on the draw. Will Jump Raven be able to pass and keep up the pace? He's already slowing down a little bit to try and find a good section to get by Josh Fulton in. After a run-in with the wall, Fulton has a decision to make. Ooh, and it seems it was made for him.
That's one of the hardest parts of the circuit, especially in these cars, is not having that downforce to keep the car planted. Really are teetering on the edge of grip going through some of these twistier sections of the circuit.
Yeah, now it does look like these guys are well off the pace, so we'll just kind of mosey on through the grid as we ramp up the practice session here and kind of go from there.
We have a pretty good show out tonight, though. Plenty of drivers on the grid. Seems to be at 14 at the moment, which is 2 more than our first event of the season, if I recall correctly.
Can't remember if I made myself the real penalty admin or not on the server. Hopefully I did. That would make the most sense, but we all do things.
Shouldn't need it too much mid race, but be good to have some
Well, I'm
the
just thinking
authority if
ahead
needed.
to the safety car specifically.
Oh, I gotcha. Are we doing a safety car tonight?
I don't know. We're gonna have to see how that stretch in particular goes.
Little VSC.
Oh, see if there's a little intervention needed.
I don't know if these
So to
drivers would be
speak.
expecting a VSC
We gotta have
whatsoever.
a little bit of fun here
Oh, for sure.
where we can. For now, we'll keep it closed, obviously, but just want to have that option. Keep it
We
ready
need
to
it.
go. Yeah.
For sure.
Again, this all hinges on whether or not I actually made myself the safety car guy, so to speak.
Let's just hope we don't need it tonight. That's the main goal. As long as we don't have a huge pileup, we shouldn't need it, I think.
That would be key, but
It
at the
would be.
same time,
You never know.
okay, I am set
Last.
to the admin.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, with practice winding down here now, with no time left, these drivers have a little bit of overtime here to finish at their last lap or two. We see that most of them already completed their last lap and have been checkered flagged. Seems like we only have about 4 drivers left to complete their lap before we get moving on to qualifying. And I was talking to the audience here a bit earlier about our 30-minute qualifying session being a little bit longer than what these guys are used to, but gives them plenty of time to set some good laps down, giving them the best chance of survival on the start here.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're not going to get a clean lap in, it's good to just pick up a little bit of extra practice around some corners here in the final minutes of overtime. And that should lead to some of those exciting battles that I think we're both very much looking forward to here in week 2. 14 racers on the grid here in the pro event. Only 7 tonight on the rookie end of things. Hopefully we can get those guys back up soon,
Oh, for sure. I mean, it is still 30 minutes till race start, so I assume we'll have a few more trickle in before the lights drop and we go racing.
Let's see.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you planning on doing the commentary for the endurance series, or is that going to be handled by somebody else?
I'm gonna be trying to wherever I can. We'll see. We'll see what I can make happen.
I know it's tough every single week or every once a month having to take part of your day and dedicate it to just commentary. It's hard, but it'd be awesome to have some good commentary for that. I've been roped into driving that season, so.
Ah, very nice. Yeah, I'm gonna try to jump into whichever ones I can. Man, they keep this thing under lock and key. I cannot find the real penalty commands anywhere because it is allegedly on their Patreon and Patreon only.
All right, as Max Yang is our final racer to complete the practice session. Now coming across the line, which does a reset to the qualifying session.
Need to restart for quality. Why are we doing this every week?
Which one?
I don't know.
What are we doing?
Josh broke something again in the server, so I gotta restart it for qualifying now, I guess.
Whoops. We'll get it reset.
Try and hang on here. All right, I got that all set up. Everybody will probably leave shortly.
Oop, server is trying to get going again.
Oh, there
See
you
a couple
go.
guys
Yep.
getting in here.
All right, perfect. So we can get back on. Wouldn't be a real rookie racing without a quick little error, huh?
It wouldn't be, but it's all part of the plan. It's an expected issue. Take care of it. Get it going
Exactly.
again. While we have our quick little intermission, do you have any expectations for pit stop strategies this race?
I'm thinking we'll see probably 3 different options as we have in the past. Someone is going to probably go short long, someone is going to go long short, and then we'll get the split fuel guys. I'm very curious to see kind of how it all plays out. I think the overcut strategy is going to be key here because the longer you wait, the less traffic there's going to be in front, and traffic is really going to be the deciding factor. All said and done, as Jesus is our first racer to head out for qualifying, and we do have a little bit of a command list acquired, so we could try that.
Awesome. Can you throw up the stream whenever you get a chance?
Oh, did
No
that
rush at all.
stop?
Yeah, I did. You're good though.
There you go. Should be good.
Beautiful.
All
I can
right.
see again.
And we're
Nice.
back in the action. Oh, hang on a minute here. Did the wrong one get reset here? I'm not positive what's going on. Looks like Base Cannon stream may have restarted. Trying to see now. For whatever reason, I no longer see the Techly stream, but we'll see if we can get them back up and running shortly.
Could have been a PC crash. A couple of things. We'll see.
Yeah, keep
Base
me
seems to be
tuned on
working
that.
on his OBS currently, from what I'm seeing in his stream preview. So it could just be technical issues that we're having.
Nothing we haven't had on our end.
Nope, not at all. We will work through it. And we
Sam,
actually have one more racer now on the grid. We have 15 drivers instead of 14, so we'll take it. Oh,
Sam S. once again getting kicked from the server. I'm not sure what the issue is with that one there.
could it be that Sam is attempting? Did Sam race last week here with us?
Sam was here last. Oh, well, they were signed up for the events. I'm not positive as to why they wouldn't be able to join.
I'm thinking maybe they signed up for the other event, the other split, and are
No,
joining the wrong one possibly. Or
I'm seeing them on the entrance list, so they should be all set for tonight. Not
it's interesting.
100% positive.
Yeah, I see them signed up as well.
I'm trying to take a look and see if I can figure out what's going.
See Parmesan making his way through the field here, starting another hot lap. Or I'd say his first hot lap, as this is the lap after the out lap.
Seems like we're having a little bit of an issue there. There you go.
Perfect. seem to have the rookie stream back up, it looks like. Or that could just be a different view from...
I think they're still just getting it ready.
Okay. Cool.
Or they're still attempting to, because I see a 1 minute stream ready to go.
Let's hope they can get it up and running. A little technical issue, not a problem though. They can always be worked out.
Yeah. Let's see how that goes.
On board here with Parmesan as he heads into the final sector of the circuit. Or headed to the final sector of the circuit. Does have a little bit of traffic in front of him, but there is still a good gap. There shouldn't have any issues this lap. Might have an issue next lap getting around some of the traffic here. As Parmesan actually hits the outside wall there on corner exit, which is definitely going to slow him down quite a bit. Doesn't seem to have hurt his pace too bad, but can't help it, that's for sure.
Yeah, Parmesan definitely on pace to set a pretty strong first lap. Obviously, we're a little distracted trying to get Sam in on the track here. We do want to give you guys these nice views for qualifying, but I think I'm going to have to let Jawa take over with the auto cam for a moment and try and help get this figured out in just a minute.
No problem. We'll do what we can here with the auto cam. And sometimes it's a curse, but it'll work out sometimes. We'll see. The Parmesan rounding the back straight here before he sets his first qualifying lap of the session. Should be the first person to set a qualifying session as he was the first one to get out on the track. See triple purple sectors at a 2:45.9, extremely quick pace. It's actually faster than their pace in practice, if I remember correctly. So that's extremely quick. As we're now on board with Mogo here, who's finishing up their outlap, or is now on, or did finish their outlap, is now on a hot lap. Heading down to the next right-hander here before you hit the small straight onto the finishing straight. I need to get my names down of all this stuff, but Fisherman's Bend, we'll call it. You see Mogo follow closely by, or Tommy Boy there, in that black and red Miata. See Mogo going a little bit wide, and Tommy Boy as well, following each other straight into the wall, headed onto the back straight. Shouldn't hurt the time too much, but can't help it. That is for sure.
All right, looks like Josh Fulton is going to pull back from qualifying for a minute and help out there. So his sacrifice will go noted in today's events.
Deserves a point right there in itself. We're now on board here with Thorn in the, is this the Noob Racer, is that we called it? What do we call this?
It is the Noob Racer livery, brought to us by Antihuman of the EU race. I haven't seen him in a little while. Hope they're doing all right. But Thorn now coming across the line on their first hot lap, so this will actually be interesting to see where they lie. A 53.3, only 2/10 separating them and Mogo. That is a hair's length with that short of a grid to go. Looks like we're still trying to get the same issues sorted there. Small update with 21 minutes remaining, but we'll jump in with Jump Raven. Still looking for a hot lap, actually on an out lap currently. So we got a little bit of time before we see them really start to push things forward. 20 minutes left of qualifying. Not a lot of racers have a time on the board. So I think we'll start to see a scramble of desperation, as you can already see some of these icons on the mini-map getting a little bit spread out. Just double checking, it looks like we do have the other broadcast is back alive. Let me get that situated for you guys. And in the bottom right of your screen, you can resume watching the rookie event. And Jump Raven.
That going on?
Yeah, Jump Raven really riding the edges here. Doing their best to kind of use the walls to their advantage if they can. Damage is minimized, but not by much here in Macau. So you really don't want to rely on it too much. 45 minutes of riding the walls is definitely going to do some long-term struggles to your suspension.
Well, most definitely. Thankfully, these guys get a fresh car when they start the race, so they can abuse it a little bit in qualifying here to get as good of a lap as they possibly can.
As we see
And
Jump
this livery
Raven.
here, oops, this livery here isn't a Kuna's livery. I don't think it is the Ferrari livery. If I'm looking at that correctly, the
That
Ferrari Miata.
is correct. Brought to us, or brought into our server by Mateus Albuquerque. I can't remember where they discovered it. I believe it might have been on Overtake, Overwatch, whatever it's called now.
Yep, for sure. Race department, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. This is the infamous bend. So for those of you who haven't seen, there's usually a large amount of chaos as the grid tries to shrink back down into single file around that portion. And if they all survive the chaos there, there's no guarantee they also survive the chaos here. As you can see, Woohoo Man diving out of the way to let Jump Raven get out on a clean one. So this is going to be their first attempt at a clean one. They've got Thorn in front also pushing, so it'll be interesting to see how lap traffic plays out in the qualifying moments. Traffic and street tracks, baby, they go hand in hand.
Thorn having a little bit of contact there with the wall, slowing him down, getting slightly in Jump Raven's way, but this is qualifying. They're not required to get out of the way for these guys if they're on a hot lap themselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much Thorn can do anyways in this part of the track. There's no real way to get out of the way without sacrificing your own. Oh, and it looks like Jump's gonna try and line up for a little bit of a move, probably just testing angles for when the real battles begin in 18 minutes time. Nice to see a little bit of action early on, seeing these guys are willing and able to fight for every advantage they can.
Sure, Jump Raven just shoving it inside a little bit. Thorn deciding, no, I can get another lap in. Not worth fighting it here. And this angle really shows off how tight the circuit is. The fact that two Miatas can barely go too wide down some of these straights is very crazy that we see other cars other cars racing on the circuit is even more wild to me.
Yeah, insane indeed. Jump Raven really making a solid swing into Fisherman's Bend, making the most of that opportunity to gain a little bit more time back on what was some loss there in the lap. We do see Pet Zabo up front with a 48.7. They had a strong debut last week. Jump Raven looking to join them, but only sits with a 51. Important to note that that's a 51 in traffic, so it'll be nice to see what they can do when they are unleashed. Speaking of unleashed, we jump on with Tommy Boy, who actually seems to be down a little bit on their lap, so long time to go until they're back up on their Delta. Mogo still has a long way to go in theirs, but let's check in with Rev 174. Has about a second to make up. Is that true? I think they might be on an out lap. Man, these guys got me all bamboozled today.
They do indeed. The Rev does need to make up about or actually less than a second's worth of time to catch Tommy Boy for that P5 spot. Tommy Boy currently sitting with a 2:59.79. Rev close behind with a 2:51.2. So just a little bit of time to catch there, or gain about 3/10 or a little under 3/10, and they'll be side by side. But it's definitely going to be a qualifying type of race. Wherever you can qualify, get yourselves the best odds of surviving T1 as well as the entire race.
Yeah, now Rev looking for those advantages as he gets closer and closer to the end of his outlap. Gonna need to take some speed into this next one, as it's gonna be the halfway point. So this is where you want to start to take a couple breaks. You don't really want to get mental fatigue before the race even begins. So these laps count, and then your last one counts. But everything in between, I feel like, is where you start to, toy around with your setup, maybe play with your fuel once you have a safety one in the bag.
For sure. And playing around with your fuel load is definitely a big part of these races. We definitely see the people that don't test that out seem to struggle early on in the event, just getting used to the car being heavier and not reacting exactly how they think it should. So it's definitely a good idea to get your practice in either earlier in the week or in practice, in the practice session itself. Testing that out and give you a definite one up on some people that don't have quite as much time to practice during the week.
Yeah, and I am definitely one of those guilty of not getting to practice during the week. And I'll tell you, it is night and day when you can squeeze a couple laps in. So those guys who have taken advantage of those open practice servers, we're expecting to see do relatively well tonight once the actual race progresses. But Rev 174 on an official hot lap, now that out lap is over, gonna bomb his way through Lisboa, takes a tight corner but manages to avoid contact with the walls, does not keep it pinned into San Francisco, but possibly because he's got a little bit more speed behind him than we've seen some of these other racers taking. So already pretty much on par with his initial performance. Now finding a few tenths through the maternity S and working his way through sector 1, I believe, making the corner into sector 2 now. So into Teddy Yip. He's doing all right. Rev toying with his own delta, trying to find time, trying to not to lose it through each corner. So many different lines through here. No matter how much you gain, there's an infinite amount to lose, and you can see that's really getting to him here in sector 2. So it'll have to be a strong sector 3 to bring this one back home and get him in front of the Canadian man, Seb Bellew, currently sitting just about a tenth and a half ahead.
Here, I'm going to step away for just a minute. How you handle this?
Yeah, no problem. We're checking in. Rev finding that time, and Donna gets about a tenth up. This is the moment that he's waiting for. Comes down to a hairpin, as it will for most of our racers. This time seems to have cut it a little bit shorter than usual, but doesn't get the exit that he did on his best lap. Now looking for 2/10 with only 2 turns to go. It's going to be tricky to make that up. This might not be the heater that he was looking for, but you can tell he is not giving up yet, taking that car wide and pushing as far as he can go. See if you can find anything in the final bend. Oh, he found a little bit of time, but it just wasn't enough. So Rev not going to get the hot lap on that one. We're going to jump over to Josh Fulton because they are on a bit of a heater, as they are trying to dual task at the moment. They've got Sam in the chat with them, trying to help troubleshoot that. Well, also looking to put a hot lap down. This one might be enough to jump all the way up to Rev 174, who we were just watching. Sorry, got caught with a little bit of a yawn there. But Josh finds a little bit more time through Fisherman's Bend, gaining speed, looking towards the final corner. Certainly going to be enough to catch up to Rev. Might even be enough to get ahead of Seb Bellew and work his way towards that top 5, but loses a couple tenths on a slow acceleration out of that final corner. Will lock in the top 6 by only 0.02 of a second. So kept us on our toes right at the end there, but Josh Fulton does have a pretty nice lap to round things out. Going to try and take a peek at Max Yang, who's on a personal best of their own. Looking to catch up to Dance in the 252.3s, currently with a 255. So a lot of place to gain time. Doesn't look like this is going to be a big lap overall. They might have lost some time here in Sector 3 by the looks of things. But we'll see how their final corner goes. Swinging through the R bend with conviction. Uh, Max Yang carries it across the line for a 254.499. All green sectors at the moment, so that is going to be a true personal best, but I expect to see some more from Max. Max really able to lock in, find the pace long term. That number 248 car has earned its position here in the real amateur race end of things. And I'm sure we're going to see a little bit more of a performance as the qualifying laps progress. You have 30 degrees on the track, 10-kilometer-an-hour winds, so things are definitely starting to enter more and more into that sweet spot. Let's jump over to Mogo, who we haven't checked in with in a while. Actually going to be just behind Max, trying to get a hot lap in of their own. You can see from the rear bumper, they were definitely working on a little bit of bump drafting action, whether with another racer or the wall to be determined. I'm going to say wall looking at the side of this thing, but still carrying on with some speed in towards San Francisco. Actually a second down on their time, so we're going to politely jump over to Pet Zabo, who did have a green sector 1. Looks like they were having a bit of a struggle through sector 2. Can they find some additional time in these final few corners? Well, that's what we are here to find out. Trying to see if I still have... Oh boy, that's a bit much. We'll go with that one for now. Anyway, so Pet Zabo working his way through, can't remember this one, R Bend or Fisherman's Bend. Ah, there we go.
Bend, yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. I was reading a couple things here, just catching up on a few things that I missed during the day.
Yeah. Does look like, I'm not sure if we're gonna get a solution to the sand problem, which does suck, to be completely candid.
Does indeed. I see that Sam he's still in our voice chat here trying to figure things out, so hopefully we can get him in. I know Josh has been able to set a lap and currently isn't out on track. Looks like he is still helping out with that issue. We'll see. Hopefully we can get him on. But,
speaking of out on track, Parmesan still looking to find as much time as possible here. Might even set just a bit of a hot lap. It'll all come down to a final corner. Only a couple thousand up on his own time currently, but finds a few tenths
wow.
in a single corner. And it goes up to a 45.459. And immediately goes to pits. So I'm almost wondering if he knew that he messed up that corner and knew that there was that time on the track and was just like, no, I got to get that, and then I'll be good.
Parmesan would be the one to do it extremely quick around all the circuits in the Miatas. I'm definitely jealous of his ability to operate these non-downforce cars. I could never.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing for viewers to consider who have not raced the legendary track of Macau, this is what your racers are up against today. So one very, very long track that takes them all down and around through the beautiful cutout city of Macau. And we'll try and get a broadcast cam back with one of our racers, and it's going to be Tommy Boy, who happens to be on a push lap.
Tommy does need to put a little bit more time between himself and Nick Cruz to absolutely secure that P4 spot, but definitely has himself in the P5 for sure. There is a little bit of a gap between the P5, P6 right now, but I think that Tommy will be looking to increase that spread out just a little bit more and secure that P4, or even start chasing down Pet Sabo there with a 248.7.
Yeah, I mean, like Tommy Boy, I think currently is in that top 3 split, is he not? So he's got to, let's see, we got Parmesan, Pet Zabo, yep, and Tommy Boy currently in the top 3 split. So these guys are going to have to work hard to defend those positions. Or again, the season's going a little bit differently this year. The positions are where the rankings are, so people can fall and rise through the rankings as they perform throughout the season. Currently, the rankings are split at the 3rd place and 8th place here. So right now, Jump Raven seems to be putting a wedge in that for Tommy Boy. Just keep getting Sam loaded,
definitely.
Sam disconnected here. I don't know if you've been catching on to all that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's just not even. It seems like a real penalty isn't working with him from what I'm seeing. Because it's not checksumming him from what I can see here, but I could be completely wrong. But I'm not seeing that
Yeah,
RP is loading at all for him, which could be the issue.
that's
But
almost what
I
I'm
have
wondering is if he needs to reinstall a real penalty or if that's been tried yet. But
could also just be a little quick refresh or restart of a content manager after you update things. It tends to bug out a little bit. But,
or the PC.
could be that as well. Yeah. I've definitely done that one a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna shoot that message along and hope for the best. But we do want to turn our attention to Jump Raven. We missed the hot lap, but I did tell you guys it was coming. At 2:47.8 to put themselves about 2 seconds away from Parmesan, but well above the rest of the field at the moment. Parmesan, one of our oldest racers on the grid as far as has been with RR the longest, so probably has the most laps on Macau and an MX5 out of anybody else racing here tonight. I'm looking maybe only Seb Bellew and Mogo could give him a run for that money. And Sam if he manages to get in.
We'd love to see Sam on the grid. It is getting closer to that race start time, only 3 minutes left in qualifying. Do hope to get him in, but if we can't, then that's going to be unfortunate. If we can, though, he might be starting from the back of the grid, not having enough time to get a quali lap in.
And Max having a very interesting hairpin that we tuned into there. We're going to bounce backwards just a little bit because I thought I heard another car making their way by.
There is indeed. We have one more coming down to the hairpin as we speak.
Yeah, and I'm actually realizing that we're missing a couple cars off the minimap. Did this to us last week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Real penalty and map
accurate.
display. No,
we're
we're missing. Looks like Max Yang is not on there. Fudzy not currently on there, and a whole bunch of the grid, honestly, currently out on their laps. Track
looks.
I'm
seeing that now.
yeah. If you can see at the bottom now what it should look like.
Yep.
Oh, you can see. They can't see.
Yes.
Sorry, viewers.
See.
Oh, wow. And speaking of things they can see, Matt Doom doing some Togue-like lines through the hairpin over in the rookie race. Kind of entertaining to watch. If you haven't checked it out, that one's over on the Techly Sim channel, currently in the bottom right corner of your screen, so you can see those guys pushing along. 7 of them ready to roll. You know, one thing I haven't seen is a practice pit from anybody. It is a very, very long pit lane, so you do not want to get it wrong. You get pretty much one attempt at this, and you have to set your own speed.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's one of the things we've seen in races or previous races, that the pit stop can ruin or make your race, and not having any practice with that definitely makes it harder to gain any time off of that. I do see in the rookie chat there we have someone petitioning to bump Doom up to RAR.
Doom is going to be one of the racers moved up. We were looking to see if Noah F was going to join today, as Noah F is also a candidate to be moved upwards. And then there are a few in danger of being dropped down here in the pro end of things. So we'll see how things end up by the end of today. I will
To come
say,
down to the final 15 seconds of the qualifying session here for the amateur race this evening. Still seeing we're having issues getting Sam in, which is very unfortunate. But we see Seb may get one last lap here as they come to the bend.
and
We
Sam
call this as
did go for the Hail Mary full restart of the computer. So this is going to be the final attempt. We'll see if Real Penalty wants to play ball. But Seb Bellew is going to bring us home for a final hot lapped attempt. The only racer to make it across the line with enough time in the final moments there. Already 2/10 up, so making use of it quickly.
for sure. This is the last two raw, someone would say, and they got to take whatever they can on the circuit, every single inch, every single bit of grip they can get. He does have to make up about 5/10 of time right here to get into that P6 position, and has already secured his P7 because the racers behind have already completed their qualifying session. So not in danger of being bumped down, but definitely a chance to get bumped up if they can find 5/10 in the last sector of the circuit.
Yeah, and I mean, I do see some green sectors coming from the other racers on the grid. I don't see anybody putting up times that are going to knock Seb down. Woohoo Man currently on a hot lap. D4NCC on a hot lap. That one might be one we want to keep an eye on as well. That car is actually just ahead of Seb Bellew, so we might be able to catch a glimpse around some of the final corners as they are both working very hard to improve their times. Actually, Dancy did have the first sector by 4/10 to Seb Bellew. Seb did have the second sector by almost 2 seconds. A little bit of a
Must have been a
struggle through the
mistake there
hairpin,
from,
but makes that up. Sorry.
for sure. I said there must have been a little bit of a mistake from Dancy there in that second sector, but Seb is finding almost 6/10 of time before we cut down to Fisherman's Bend down to the back straight. So if these next few corners are great, then we might see a major improvement, might even take that P6 from Mogo as we now see 7/10 up and increasing.
Yeah, and
This
to
has a
be
very good
honest, there's a
chance.
lot of time left for Seb to grab during the race. I noticed that hairpin was a very tight and awkward one. So this full second improvement still has some time left on the board for Seb to grab. And that puts him at a 250.1, well within striking distance of Nick Cruz and Tommy Boy, the men just in front.
You see those lap times from Dancy and Sebastian there did knock Mogo down, or Mogo did say just ahead of Dancy by about 5/10 there, but Sebastian does get bumped up into that P6. Do you see our last racer on the track being Maxi Yang there, rounding out their final lap?
I'll be right back.
No worries. Is indeed the last driver on track, heading into turn one up into the end of sector one. See, they are up 4/10 currently, which is just could be a great hot lap here as long as the server will allow them to complete it if they've crossed the line with enough time left. You see Max Chang pushing everything out of the car right now and onto the track, giving themselves the best chance to get that P12 spot from Thorne there. There is a big gap. It's about 3 seconds currently. Don't know if they will be able to make up that much of a gap in one lap, but they definitely are up right now, about 5/10 heading into the middle of the second sector down towards the hairpin. You now see the rookie split is all lined up on track, getting ready to go. They seem to be about 30 seconds to a minute ahead of the amateur split. Could be just because they have less racers on grid currently. We see Sam tried one last time to get that car on the track, but there must be some technical issues that just haven't been worked out yet. We will hope that they can be sorted out as quick as possible. Oh no, as we see Max Yang was a second up on their time and just spins it into the inside barrier of the hairpin. Super unfortunate there. He's going to lose all that time that was gained. So we do seem to have all of our drivers set in their positions for the start of our 45 minutes at Macau, week 2 of the RIR MX5 season 7.
And just as these guys wrap up qual, we do actually have the rookie race beginning things at the moment. They have successfully avoided the turn 1 chaos. They are swinging into Lisboa now. Again, hard to make out in the bottom right corner of your screen, but it is happening. Doom has left the pack already, as was expected, but the pack bunches up here for Lisboa, and everybody keeps going through. So very proud of those guys. Again, you can catch the live commentary for that one over with Base Cannon in the Techly Racing channel. Those guys do have quite a bit of time to get that figured out. And it looks like Base Cannon has picked up a penalty control lock somehow in the process.
Just saw that, yeah.
I think he doesn't have the auto start on, so that if he wants to do a lap, he can. Like he can do like a little touring lap to show everybody if he wanted.
Yep.
But I just keep it on. I've thought about turning it off. I thought it'd be funny.
We definitely have seen some. I think last week at Formula we saw a van on track doing a lap during practice, which was very funny. We now have completed our qualifying session here in the amateur race. We do have Parmesan sitting P1 with a huge gap, sitting at 2:45.459, followed closely by Pet Sabo, Jump Raven, Tommy Boy, and Nick Cruz. That's going to round out our top 5 racers for today. The P6 to P15 looks to be within about 7 seconds currently is the split from P6 to P15. So a little bit more bigger of a gap than we saw last week or week 1 of season 7. But this is a much more challenging course. It is a cool livery. It's very interesting.
Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
As a car guy, I love this. This is
well
what
made
it's all
too.
about. Very detailed.
It really is well made.
It's a line. They check their lines pretty good. Look at that. You know.
Yeah.
That works.
It's pretty.
Go back.
Well done.
That works. That works. Yeah. Let's see, where would that be? That would be right about here. You're saying? Let's check. Oh, okay. You can't see.
We're dissecting the cars now?
Yeah, well, I wanted to see if their steering column was accurate. I wanted to see if that's where the linkage was. All right.
Close enough.
I see lights already. Oh, because they are not actually in today's race. We have missed the opportunity to do the quick rundown. I didn't realize our racers are lined up on the grid, but here we go. Week 2 at Macau. We can give you the rundown down the straightaway because it's about 10 fucking miles long. Started from the top, Parmesan, Zabo, or Jump Raven, Tommy Boy, Nick Cruz. Seb Bellew was in front of Mogo, but Mogo got a little bit of a better start and already makes some moves, followed by Dancy, Josh Fulton, Rev 174. Pogo was ahead of Thorn, but Thorn now moving forward. Then Max Yang, Fudzy, and Woohoo Man. We see everybody bunching up. We might see a 3 wide in an area you do not want to be going 3 wide. I'm excited to see how this pans out for them, and it pans out exactly as expected. I think we might have to do a little bit of a... Well, I don't think we need a VSC because everybody is managing to keep moving. It's unfortunate for Zabo, but they might get an opportunity. Oh, geez. This is really going. Let's take a look at how things are going down at the back of the grid. We have a lot of chaos, so maybe at this point we take a couple seconds here. I think the hairpin is where we'll really see how things come into play. We'll let the chaos go here because we let it go over in the rookie event for all of that. I know we're going to get some questions as to why we didn't trigger the safety car on that one, but let's take a look at how things go up front as we head towards some of the more perilous corners of the track. Seb Bellew, avoiding the chaos, worked his way all the way up to P2 now, leads Jump Raven and Nick Cruz. Jump not able to find a good spot to get by. Gonna have to work with Seb a little bit. Seb is not really trying to drive defensive. There's just not a lot of room to let these cars go too wide. Jump looks for the opportunity, but just not able to make the most of it at this time. We've got a tight pack here from Seb all the way back to Josh Fulton, and then we've got the rest of the grid who was caught up in a little bit of chaos. This is the pack that I'm worried about heading into the hairpin, as they are very, very tight together. Ooh, and they're already starting to get a little bit of contact heading in, or heading through. I forget what corner that was. Missed the name. Sam, unfortunately, still not able to join. But we come down to the moment of truth. Can these guys make it by? Immediately, we go for some wheel-to-wheel action as Jump Raven tries to use that as their opportunity. Not able to. As we see our secondary grouping here of Tommy Boy, Fudzy, and Max Yang barrel on by. So an eventful lap one. Parmesan finds himself 10 seconds ahead of the main grouping, who all stay relatively close together heading into the straight.
Most definitely, these guys did a great job of managing sector 2 and 3 without too much contact after the chaos we saw on the T1 of lap 1 there.
Yeah, now the good news is DRS has been enabled, so.
Oh, perfect. We have some DRS now with these cars that are extremely aero dependent, as you guys can see. We do see Jump Raven looking to make a move on Sebastian in the same place that we had the incident last lap, but they do make it through clean. It wasn't quite a 3 wide this time, so we're hoping to see that. We're hoping to not see that. Jump Raven now goes defensive, back on the racing line now, as Seb Bellew is just not close enough to make a move coming into T1. Or T2, this is.
And just trying to get a sense of exactly how far spread out things are. We'll see just how well the grid fares. This is the bigger gap here later in the pack, I want to say, from Tommy Boy to Pogo, as Tommy Boy leads most of the back half of the grid here. Woohoo Man still suffering a little bit of recovery. We'll be working on catching up, but Zabo with an excellent exit. Zabo, one of our faster racers, definitely feeling probably the most pain off of that initial chaos.
You know, to some extent, we saw it happening. You know, 3 wideness is never going to work out there unless these drivers are absolutely perfect, and that's just something that's hard to ask for, especially on lap 1 when tires are still cold.
Yeah, it was a bold endeavor by the 2 racers overtaking. The guy in the middle kind of just caught up in there. I wasn't really clear on which 3 racers there were, but man, Zabo really looking for a way through. A little bit of rubbing his race in here with Fudzy. Oh, and they end up pinching each other off. And Zabo comes to a complete side little Austin Powers moment here. It is very difficult not to click that deploy safety car. Oh, well, that makes it a little bit easier. So it looks like Zabo is going to withdraw, and that will take away the need for the safety car.
No safety car needed there. That is unfortunate to see Zabo retire the car this early on, but was a very unfortunate set of circumstances there. Definitely think we're going to have some replays to look back on this race for incidents and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, one good thing about this track is you're not going to get a cutting penalty, that's for sure.
No, absolutely. There's really nowhere to. And speaking of no room to cut, there's no room to go too wide through some of these long corners, because that is one where you really need the most out of your exit. And Thorn knows that. So Thorn's taking the opportunity to go for the bump draft. The drafting opportunity. And there's plenty of time to make the most of it. Thorne now will have an opportunity heading into Lisboa. Will he go for the bump draft or the overtake? Only time will tell. And it looks like he's actually just holding shy. He doesn't want to go for the bump draft, but he also doesn't want to go for the pass. So I think he's just using Mogo as a little bit of a windshield for now, and hoping that a cut or a pit strategy later on can make things more interesting.
See Thorne just showing the nose a little bit there, just trying to spook Mogo off his braking point, get him to brake a little deep. Didn't work. Mogo was definitely not paying attention to his rearview mirror there, just trying to keep his eyes out front. Thorne settles back in, lost a little bit of time there on the exit of T2, but is still within that drafting range. They're almost within drafting range now for these next few bits of draft. We do see some contact up there in the pack, what looks like to be Josh Fulton, Dancy, and whoever or Nick Cruz there. But it's that they all made it through cleanly, which is great to see.
Yeah, they're all kind of rubbing up on these walls a little bit. We've been seeing a lot of crashes with the environment at very low speeds, 1-2 kilometers an hour at most. So these guys are definitely cutting these corners as close as they possibly can, using every inch of this narrow track. But so far, it's worked out okay. It's a long race, though. We're not even 10 minutes in, and they're starting to get very risky with their lines. We see Max Yang going in with 5 kilometers an hour. Woohoo, man, with 16 all checked in on the live timings here. So definitely, I think we're going to start to see some fatigue set in, and maybe a little bit of chaos, some slipping, and an interesting move or two as Nick Cruz goes for the dive on Seb Bellew, isn't able to get by, causes a little bit of contact. We did see that one just a little bit further back. We're going to jump on with Dancy, though, because he's going to get a front row seat to the action. And we'll see who comes out on top. These three racers are going to be very close together. Hopefully we don't have another 3 wide moment here. But we might. Ooh, as Dancy gets very close to the tail end of Nick Cruz, gives Josh Fulton the opportunity to come through on the final corner. He will have the speed to get by, but again, it's going to be a long straightaway. Will Dancy try and work together to catch back up to Nick Cruz and Seb Bellew in front, who's doing a little bit of bumping of their own? Yes, he will. So these racers have 2 seconds to make up over the course of the next 35 minutes. Plenty of time and opportunity to do that and turn this back into a 3-way battle for the podium. They do have Mogo and Thorne lurking not very far behind. Mogo putting up a 250. Which is about a second faster than these guys were going on their last lap. Dance going to go for the dive, pulls a very late one out, has to wait for Josh to get through as he knows he's a little too late on his brakes. And look who it is. That's a Planet Express racer swinging by. Dance does get a little bit pinched up against the wall, but there's not really room for them on that section of the course. And that allows Thorne to pull a little bit of a through goes Hamilton. Mogo, not wanting to risk the penalty, pulls back to swap the positions. Speaking of swapping positions, we do have Tommy Boy looking for a move on Pogo in a peculiar spot. These tight corners are where you wanted to have already made your move. So Tom's going to have to get creative or start to lose a little bit of time to the guys ahead. Oop, and creative he does not get as he enters Sector 2. Can't say he's not trying.
Not at all. It's really unfortunate there. Pogo just got a little bit of the inside wall, and it slowed him down enough where Tommy couldn't get on the brakes quick enough and just give him a little tap forward. Didn't slow him down too much. Definitely didn't help them, but they are still within that half a second here. And Tommy will be looking to make a move. He definitely will have the pace to do it on the back straight if he bides his time.
Yeah, and you can see him looking constantly at that inside lane, trying to figure out where his best opportunity is. He's already lost 2 seconds off of his hot lap. That hot lap, I'm pretty sure, came with traffic. So probably a few more seconds off his personal best. Going to be driving him up the wall a little bit. But this hairpin, I think, is where we'll see him try and make the move. Nick Cruz and Seb Bellew battling it out with such ferocity that Josh Fulton was able to join up in their fight. Tried to see if we could get a little peek of what's going on there, but we were unable to. And unable to is the adjective, or sorry, the descriptor for Tommy Boy's trying to make a pass on Pogo. So we'll let Tommy Boy try and reset that, because this is a three-way battle for the podium spot happening 15 minutes in. This could be a deciding one, depending on how the remainder of this race goes. All three of these guys have very similar pace, but anything can happen when you've got such a long, narrow track.
Almost definitely. And Josh looks to be just waiting for a mistake from these two. This is a really tough spot to battle it out, especially when we hit this little slight right-hander, which we saw earlier in the race at the start can be really deadly if these two drivers ahead aren't very precise.
Yeah,
so
and speaking of precise, yep. That's going to be
Josh makes his way through.
A little costly, and gives Josh Fulton an opportunity, because Seb did have to wiggle off the brakes and wiggle off the throttle and allow Josh to get into drafting range, but Josh puts it into the wall, letting Nick Cruz get by. And these guys go cleanly into San Francisco together, but lose a ton of time, as Seb Bellew now 2 seconds away, and Thorne fresh on their heels.
Yeah, Thorne getting boxed in a little bit here, doesn't know where he wants to go. I definitely know this pain a little bit here, as these guys go so side by side, so close through that left-hander into the right-hander down towards the hairpin. This is going to be a really interesting race to watch as these three fight it out.
Yeah, we see Tommy Boy still looking for a chance. Oh, I was going to say on Pogo. Thorne was in a peculiar spot, but manages to get straightened out. They don't want us to use that safety car today. They are telling us to let them keep racing. So keep racing they shall. This gives us an opportunity to look back at Tommy Boy and see if he can use Thorne in front as a way to get by Pogo. But doesn't look like he's quite going to see that opportunity yet. Don't want to click away, because he might look for a move on the inside here. He does fake one, and it sends Thorne into the wall. That's going to slow him up even more, so Tom better make something happen, or he's just slowing himself. And it seems like slowing himself for now. Josh Fulton going by Nick Cruz into the harsh hairpin that we've come to know and love. Oh, and Nick gets wedged in, trying to go for the dive in on Josh Fulton, not able to make something happen.
Yeah, there's just no room on the inside to make that move. Just slows himself down. I'd be a little more patient there to get him in the slipstream down the straight, but it is definitely hard to do that when you're racing. You want that next position as quick as possible. Now on with Tommy Boy, looking to make a move on Pogo here down into Fisherman's Bend. He's almost alongside, makes it there, gets it there, causes Pogo to have to break a little deeper, but does get the pass made.
Yeah, now Tommy Boy has lost, looks like about 5 seconds in the last 2 laps trying to get by Pogo here. I'm sure Pogo's lost a little bit of time trying to fight. So at this point, it might be in their interest to catch up ahead. Dancy going in for an early pit stop 15 minutes in. So might be going for that 2-stop strategy, but we did hear from the EU guys they were able to make it work with 1. So we'll see how that plays out as Dancy goes for the early one.
The undercut definitely did work last week. We saw it with Josh Fulton. We'll see if it works this week, as these races are much more spread out than they were last week at this point in the race.
Yeah, Nick thinking about a move on Mogo, knows he's not going to get the chance before he can get out. Dancy comes out just behind Max Yang, so has 3 seconds to make up before he's in proper open air. As we watch Nick and Mogo try and catch up to Josh Fulton. All of these guys need to get on pace, though, because Seb Bellew now almost 3.5 seconds consistently in front.
Most definitely, Seb's had a great race. So has Raven. We talk about Parmesan a lot, but Parmesan has put a huge gap now, 12 seconds on Jump Raven there in P2. These are podium drivers who just absolutely driven away from the rest of the field. They are making their moves early and trying to get that clean air as quick as possible.
Yeah, and I know you can't see on the mini-map for some reason, but Parmesan is actually coming around the hairpin at the moment. And you'll see Jump Raven coming around the wide left-hander before that. And the rest of the grid hasn't even gotten that into view. So plenty of time separating those guys. They've got a lot of breather. Jump Raven still within opportunity to make something happen off of a couple, good laps, misfortune, and a solid pit strategy.
For sure, and we're getting close to that time now where our normal 20-minute races would be coming to an end. So we're going to see some of that mental fatigue start to come into play. And this is the one track that you just don't want to have any mental fatigue, as it's so tight and requires so much precision. As we're seeing Nick Cruz going for that inside line around the hairpin again. It didn't work the first time. It didn't work there as well. But definitely unfortunate, loses quite a bit of time to Mogo ahead. Yeah. But I definitely understand the want for that next position as quick as possible. I definitely understand it.
And speaking of want for that next position, Mogo now within half a second to Josh Fulton. Tommy Boy teetering around that 1 second gap to Thorne in front. So still getting those battles fleshed out as we head further and further into this 45-minute event. Mogo, a relentless one for sure. If he gets in front of Josh Fulton, he might be able to tow him along, though, and bring them back up to the fight with Seb Bellew. Josh does work better fighting from behind. We've seen those lap times seriously improve when he's got a buddy. Oh, and it looks like a buddy he's got. Mogo sending him along down the straightaway, trying to help both of them out, closing that gap. They have made up a second to Seb Bellew over the course of the last half a lap, so that helps.
Most definitely. This straight is just so long, and if you can have some team play, it works out so well. We'll see if Josh tries to squeeze Mogo at all. It seems like he's not going to give him the room, as they both make it through pretty much cleanly. Mogo does slot right back in. If I'm them, I'm not going to try and fight through that first corner if they're going to be working together, but it seems like Mogo does want that position there, as he just taps the wall slightly, losing him a little bit of time to Josh up this hill.
Yeah, I think he realized he had the opportunity to pass Josh on the straightaway. Now, at this point, they're going to just lose time if they don't get moving. Nick Cruz already made up a second to them since their battle has begun. You can hear him in the background, only 1.5 seconds away. Mogo trying to urge Josh to get on the gas through this section. Ooh. And almost a little bit of contact between the two. Mogo opting for a little run-in with the wall instead, as he lets Nick Cruz get by and tries to hammer things back out before Rev closes too much more of a distance. That gives Josh a little bit of breathing room.
Oh, for sure. We also do see Tommy Boy looking to make a move on Thorne here as they go down into the left to right-hander. Oh, we see contact. There just wasn't any room there. Very unfortunate. Definitely get to look at that incident over again after the race, but looks to be just not enough room for two cars to go through. Thorne does get it moving again, doesn't lose any positions besides the one to Tommy, but keeps his gap to Pogo.
We did see Nick Cruz lose a little bit of time there in a position to Mogo, maybe. I'm not sure what exactly happened for a moment. Just saw some jumping in the standings, but Nick Cruz now finds himself in danger of getting caught from Rev 174, who's definitely feeling that pressure from Tommy Boy behind. Now got himself to within a second of this battle for P5. All of these racers 5 seconds away from Josh Fulton. So there must have been a collision between Mogo and Nick Cruz at some point in the last few corners. Ooh, and Rev opting to go in for the pit, so that's going to be one of our first, I'd say, lead cars, Mogo and Rev, heading in now at the 20-minute marker. So they're going to be opting in for a long one. Mogo picks up a 15-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Rev, a 7-second penalty for speeding into the pits. That is going to hurt their races for sure. Unfortunate there. Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind for the real amateur racing is you do have to keep an eye on your own pit speed before you hit the line. if you're going over, there are penalties based on the interval you are exceeding the speed limit. Josh Fulton has closed the gap to Seb Bellew to within 1.8. Tommy Boy closing the gap to Nick Cruz to within 1.1, as well as Rev 174 within 0.6 seconds of Mogo. So it looks like he pulled off a little bit of a faster pit stop than Mogo was able to there, and only has a 7-second penalty to Mogo's 15. It looks like Mogo, knowing that, did not opt to fight Rev as he drops back behind him in the standings. I know we're not watching that fight, just seeing that bouncing around in the live timing boards. But Tommy Boy and Nick Cruz is the true battle for position. No penalties on the line just yet. And Tommy's going to try and take advantage of a little slip up there. Nick Cruz gets into the wall, tries to close that door up. And Tommy, giving him a little nudge to keep things moving, does not take a position, but lets him know that he is ready for the next slip. He almost was able to capitalize on that first one, and you can tell he is hungry. Tommy Boy trying to make his way back up to that podium spot, knows this is the car he's got to get by if he wants to start fighting through clean air. He's currently got a best lap of a 2:49, which is a faster lap than all but the top 2 racers on the grid. He even beats out Mogo by 0.1 seconds. So if he can get in some open air, that's going to be huge for him.
And we do see now that both of our top 2 drivers have entered the pits, being Parmesan and Jump Raven, at the exact same time. We will see where they come out. We see Tommy Boy and Nick Cruz decide to take their pit right now as well.
So I'm going to guess that is the maximum amount of time these guys were able to draw or get into the pits. Get out of the vehicles, I guess is what I'll say, as Mogo finds himself still within a second of Rev 174 in front, fighting a 15-second penalty. So we'll see where these guys come out in relation to that massive grouping in front of them. Those guys did opt to do another lap. These guys are going to have a ton of pace, so don't be fooled by the fact they're getting out of the pit lane. They do have a long ways to go where these guys are going to be able to close up that gap and catch back up. You can see them all in the distance. Let's see where things lie once we get into Lisboa. You can see Parmesan, Jump Raven, and Seb Bellew have not changed positions. Josh Fulton unable to make up any time, still 1.8 seconds away. But Rev and Mogo catching up. It does seem like the undercut might have been the move, though, as these guys close, but not close enough to keep up the fight they had just a lap ago.
No, not quite. I mean, they also had to take a little bit more fuel when they pitted early. It's an extra lap of fuel on board, so that elongates their pit time.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one here. You do see changes in strategy, but you don't always see just how much it affects the overall positions. But yeah, Mogo and Rev definitely seem to have lost out with the undercut there. Now on the back foot for the final 20 minutes here of the race. But still doing well to stick with the pack as a whole. It's really going to come down to these guys either getting by Nick Cruz or pushing him along to start closing that gap to Dancy and Josh Fulton in front. Dancy snuck in there. Dancy, I think, was the one who went for the early pit stop, so we never were really able to tell exactly where he was in the grid. But now it comes down to, is Dancy going to need to have a second stop? He finds himself in a really good position, but at what cost?
For sure. They may be able to push these. We do see that most of these guys pitted around the 20-minute mark, so it is very possible that Dancy is running this all the way to the end, as we've seen that these cars can go about 25 minutes on one tank of fuel. We will see.
Yeah, Dancy, 3 laps in the bag, finishing up a 4th on his current tank of fuel. All these other guys did 8 laps with theirs, so might cut it a little close. Definitely still a possibility. You're not wrong. We do see a little bit of a pack forming here in a battle for P6. I know these guys want to be in a podium fight, but currently not able to make it so. 20 minutes left on the board, so a lot of time for them to find that opportunity. And I think the first opportunity will come with Tommy Boy, who is one strong corner away from entering the drafting range of Nick Cruz and giving us a show. Does manage to have a pretty strong entrance. He is just on the tail end of that drafting range, though. I don't know if it's going to be enough to make any moves into Lisboa. But if there's any straight long enough to make that 4/10 gap close up, this would be the one to do it. You can see him starting to dabble into the 3s here, little at a time. So he's going to be within a big dive bomb range by the time they get to Lisboa. The question is, does he have the stones to try and make it happen right now? He's going to go wide to try and fake it, but he won't take the opportunity just yet. Going to get hot on the heels of Nick Cruz. Oh, and try and keep moving, as those guys nearly have a little bit of bumper-to-bumper action, but Tommy Boy quick on the brakes, avoids giving him the love tap. We are going to bounce back to Rev 174 trying to join in on that train, and you can even hear Mogo directly behind us. That's the fun thing about these street tracks, is it seems like nobody can ever really get too far away from the guy behind them, with the exception of Parmesan and Jump Raven.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, just the amount of mistakes that happen in these tight tracks, the small micro mistakes that lose you time. We see big contact with Tommy Boy and Nick Cruz putting this pack extremely close. There's another bit of contact with Rev 174 and Tommy Boy, and then Mogo. These guys are playing ping pong here with the walls.
Yeah, and they just keep getting lucky, though. They all keep ending up facing straight. Honestly, Rev not in a bad spot, because this little 3-man battle over here is going to cost them all time and let Rev just get right back up to the mix. As you can see, some careless running with the walls already starting, and an attempted 2 wide in one hell of a situation. A lot of interesting decisions being made here. No one really showing any patience in the back half. Everyone looking for any position they can get at this stage in the game.
For sure, they're wanting to do whatever they can to get that position in front of them. I do also see that Dancy has closed that gap to Josh Fulton, which did start out at about 3 seconds when they left the pits, to under a second now, or just under a second, so we're seeing that Dancy does have the pace to catch up, but Josh Fulton also catching Seb in front.
Yeah, Josh has been definitely having a few laps that really puts him within striking range of the Canadian man ahead. He just needs to do 2 of those in a row, and he will be on fire. Rev 174 was back within drafting range for a moment on Tommy Boy, but wasn't able to keep up with that, and it'll be Tommy Boy and Mogo down the straightaway. Oh, I might have spoken too soon. Nope, that draft will save Tommy Boy and pull him along. So Tommy Boy gonna have a chance to make another move on Lisboa, this time on Mogo. Does he take it this time? We do see further ahead Dancy thinking about it on Josh Fulton, but don't think he's gonna get close enough to actually make that attempt. Tommy Boy, on the other hand, certainly will. So him and Mogo. Oh.
Mogo has some disconnection issues there now, back on track, which is good to see.
That was certainly interesting. But anyways, Mogo ends up in front. Tommy Boy locking the brakes hard, but manages to continue forwards. He does not get the pass on Mogo and will have to reset for the next time around the straightaway. Dancy, on the other hand, has found himself nipping at the heels of Josh Fulton, who has stared at the back of that Williams for 30 grueling minutes at this time. And I think he's ready to try and make a move of his own. So Dancy really going to need to pick up the pace and apply the pressure. Had a mini running with the wall when Broadcaster's curse struck just then, but back on the gas and looking to make things interesting, as we very much still have a 3-way fight for the final podium position. over to Mogo, applying the pressure to Nick Cruz. Again, Mogo with that 249 under his belt, really just looking to get back into clean air. 13 minutes is not a lot of time to make up to the guys ahead. Those guys currently lapping in the 250s. So even a 249 won't really be enough to close that, but it would be nice to pick up one more position here if he can get it. Mogo trying to find a way through, now has a little bit of pressure from the number 16 car of Tommy Boy behind. Tommy thinking about a through, goes Hamilton into the hairpin. Does he dare? Look at him getting that thing sideways.
He's channeling a little bit of the inner initial D there to make it around that corner. Doesn't seem to have gained too many time on the fight in front of him, but it did look cool.
Yeah, it looks like he is struggling a little bit with that hairpin and has officially tried to adopt the throw out the back end strategy. Not working in his favor based on the last 2 laps. We do see Nick Cruz having a little bit more success with his new approach as opposed to whichever one we saw earlier. Mogo a little run-in with the wall, going to cost him, and there is Dancy's second pit stop, the one that we were hoping we didn't see, but unfortunately will, as Tommy Boy able to take advantage of that run-in with the wall and get a position on Mogo.
This is definitely huge for Tommy, but these two need to work together to put themselves back up there with Nick Cruz. If they continue to fight, they're just going to lose that time and have no shot at getting that P6 or P5 away from Nick Cruz. As they do decide to fight it out, as Mogo goes down the inside, Tommy not defending this, looking to hope to or actually we'll say Mogo drops back into the slipstream, decides not to fight it here. It's almost like they were listening.
Yeah, I think
to a conversation.
Mogo learning from some of those previous lap incidents. Not keen to ruin his race with only 11 minutes remaining. Gonna try and find a better opportunity to get by, or maybe help Tommy hurry along. These guys are set up for a nice, interesting race together, and Dancy having to pit unfortunately makes it so Josh Fulton just has to focus on the man in front. He's got nobody behind him anymore, nobody ahead of even Seb Bellew. It is just those 2 cars on the track. So he'll be hammering things along in the final 3 or 4 laps here. Mogo really applying the pressure to Tommy Boy, trying to find whatever way through he can, getting his nose on every inside angle, but not taking it just yet. Man, he is on rails right now, that 74 car. Oh. Do we dare?
It seems like he's getting it straightened out again. Oh, that would have been a crazy time for it.
It would have been. I think at this stage in the game, barring an Austin Powers in the hairpin, which we have yet to see, we will not be issuing any safety cars.
We do see that Tommy has gotten very close to as Nick Cruz, and then has one mistake in the hairpin and loses it all again as Rev made his way through that pass on Mogo, put himself into P7, looking to hunt down Tommy as Tommy goes almost hitting the wall there on the exit of the corner, but does keep it reeled in and on rails.
He's got a little bit of a brush up there, less than 5 kilometers an hour though, so nothing that would do significant damage to himself. Taking a look over at the rookie end of things, they do have a couple of battles themselves still going in the battle for P2, so those guys trying to flush things out on their end. I think we're gonna have to look into combining grids with the current numbers we have. What do you think about that?
I don't mind it at all, actually.
Make
the
rookies
question is, will we continue to run?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we would have to.
But that is stuff to decide after the race. The race still being decided for us as Rev 174 using that draft to get a little bit closer to Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy has a lot of patience, not taking any move or chances to get in front of Nick Cruz ahead. Now finds himself 2 seconds behind. Going to be wondering if he should have been a bit more aggressive in those early laps. Rev 174 going to find himself in those shoes now. What will he make of his chances?
We just see Rev looking to take every single bit of the track, even brushing up against the wall there. That doesn't improve his speed, but he is definitely doing whatever he can to shrink that gap to Tommy Boy there. It has increased a little bit with that slight incident there, but I do see that or I do assume that it'll close up here in the next couple laps.
Yeah, and we do see Rev was almost 2 seconds faster than Tom on the last lap. Tom getting a little distracted, fighting with Nick Cruz in front, but Rev now getting a little distracted, trying to push the car harder than he needs to. He needs to rely on the mistakes of others, not make any himself right now. So hopefully we can see things clean up in the final few laps of the race.
You see that Tommy Boy has shrunk that gap down to under half a second now.
Yeah, we could see him move
Cruz
into this hairpin. This is going to be telling. Tommy Boy with a big drift here. Whoa, we've got Woohoo Man currently just sitting in the hairpin.
Definitely not the place you want to be stopped on
Yeah,
this track.
that was very, very interesting. It did give Tommy Boy a bit of an advantage as to where things are going. But Tommy Boy 0.2 seconds back, so this is definitely going to be his chance. He's smart enough to know he doesn't want to take the pass just yet because Nick is just going to swap positions heading into that final corner of the straightaway, but knows he needs to stay close enough to make something happen. Oh, and he's nailed it here. This is perfect. This is what he's looking for. So Tom's going to go right around the outside, try and line himself up for the inside through the final turn of the straight. These cars do top out at around the same street, but Tom had the advantage of the slipstream at front. He is going to pull aside and give Nick that advantage back. So we'll see if that is enough to let Nick get a nose in through Lisboa. Is Nick going to be as patient as Tom? Only a few hundred meters separate us and a decision. Nick Cruz, though, not going to look for that inside dive bomb. Going to try and be patient and see if maybe he can find a move somewhere else. And see if maybe Tommy Boy will make a mistake. Speaking of making mistakes, Josh Fulton only 0.4 seconds away from Seb Bellew. Seb seems to have lost a lot of time on one of his last laps. I don't think we caught, and Josh Fulton managed to put up a 2:49.8 on his last one. So tremendous speed coming out of the 23 car. We're going to jump over to that one in just a minute. I wanted to see if Nick could make something happen, but didn't look like he was able to take advantage of that opportunity. We'll switch over to the 23 car. Still has a few laps left to try and make something happen. Oh, and broadcaster's curse strikes. And the current opportunity is gone. They still have plenty of time left to try and get that one back, but we're going to have to let them get that settled. Rev 174, the next one looking for his chance to get by. Can he do so? Looks like the number 14 car of Woohoo is all over the place here. But they do manage to carry back on and keep moving before Dancy catches up. Or at least it seems that way.
Definitely very unfortunate there. We do see Rev back on the heels of Nick Cruz within about a second now. If he can make these next two corners, that being Fisherman's Bend and the other one, I forget the name of it, he can make those work in his favor. He may have a slipstream chance down the back straight or the finishing straight.
Yeah, and Rev is definitely getting as close as he can to try and make that opportunity happen. It's going to be interesting to see collisions with environments after the race because all of these guys are riding the walls as much as they can, trying to gain every possible second. Rev 174 not able to make up time on Nick Cruz on this straightaway, which is a crucial one. Currently, the lead car of Parmesan, I'm trying to find, is around where Fudzy would be. So these guys not in danger of being lapped. They probably have about 2 more laps remaining, not including this one. If I had to guess, Parmesan pretty far along in their current lap. Actually, I stand corrected. There's probably going to be 2 laps left, including this one, and Rev 174 is going to get the opportunity on Nick Cruz sooner than expected. So he will have to capitalize on it. Looking at the gaps around the board, this might be the last pass that we see. Can he find a way to make it happen and make it pretty?
Well, for sure. We also have to remember that Rev does have a penalty, if I remember correctly. He does have that 7-second for speeding in the pits. He does have that gap to Thorne behind, so he's not at risk right now of losing P7. But even if he does manage to make a move on Nick this late in the game, I don't think it'll stick after penalties are added.
And Mogo does have a 15-second penalty. Currently holds that gap to Dance behind in P11, so he'll still lock into the P10, but does not have that distance to Pogo behind him. So good call out there. I didn't see if anybody else picked up the speeding infringements, and obviously we haven't seen any cut warnings go south here. Mogo might just be looking to take another position himself, though, as he's getting hot on the heels of Thorne in the battle for P8. As both of these guys gaining on the guys in front at roughly the same speed. I almost wish I could do a little bit of a split screen action for you, so you can see just what we're looking at. Nick has really committed to that inside lane there. And you see he loses some acceleration as Rev was able to start to inch closer, heading into some of the final few corners. So this is it. Can Rev line something up here? Going to need some massive acceleration heading into the final corner. If he can't get himself lined up for a move by Lisboa, we might not see one. And I think he knows it. Oh no!
Rev has to make a one last pit. Super unfortunate there. Must have miscalculated the fuel by just one lap.
You know, if it's me in that situation, oh no, and a reverse there too. If it's me, I already got the 7-second penalty. I'm sending it. Oh, is that Mogo too?
Mogo in the pits as well.
Oh, so those guys who stopped a single lap earlier than the rest of the grid get stuck with a 2-stop strategy.
And both these drivers having penalties themselves is definitely not going to help them by any means. As Rev gets down to P10 now, won't lose P10 to Mogo currently, but Mogo, if he doesn't get going quickly, Max Yang could get within 15 seconds. We see Max Yang in the pit.
And Max Yang going, oh my God, it's all falling apart here in the final few seconds. The battles that we thought we were watching all get shaken up by these differences in pit strategies. There was a little bit of fuel conservation that must have been going on with some of these cars up front, and it really came to play as we head into our final lap here of the evening. Let's join on with our race leader. We literally have paid him no mind because that number 48 car has been in front since the beginning. Parmesan, the man, the myth, the legend, takes home the win, and not just the win, but the domination. We're taking who went into the pits at this point? I don't think Fuzzy knew that they were going to be able to just finish things out. Oh my God! And they picked up a 15-second penalty for speeding into the pits.
Oh no!
On an unnecessary pit stop. Oh, that is something you never really want to see. As Jump Raven comes across the line, we're going to have to jump onto a racer here just to get to whoever is going to cross next, because think it's actually Seb Bellew. So we do have to wait to get there. But yeah, Seb Bellew getting chased down by that number 23 car of Josh Fulton. Stayed hot on the heels for the entirety of the race, but wasn't able to make it happen as Seb comes around the final corner. That number 22 just barely beating out the number 23. So today's order was not by who had the bigger number. And they cross the line P3 and P4 respectively. Tommy Boy with one hell of a climb back from the misfortune finds himself P5 after overtaking Nick Cruz following what was probably a 20-minute long battle between the two of them, as P. Cruz takes home a not too shabby P6, followed relatively closely behind by Thorne and Pogo. I want to say these guys also were caught up in some of the evening's chaos. And then we have our misfortunate coming around the bend now is Dancy, who did end up having to do a double pit strategy, followed closely behind by Rev 174, who, with a 7-second penalty, does not lose the position to Mogo, not only because he finished 8 seconds ahead, but because Mogo will be faced with a 15-second penalty that puts him a little bit further back, does get 15 seconds added to his final time. And we'll check over now with Max Yang, one of our final few races to go around the grid. All in all, pretty good showing, I'd say.
It was great. Really fun watch. Tons of good battles as we see Max Yang there doing a little Tokyo drift into the hairpin there just to show off a bit for the end of the race. But definitely an amazing watch. Great week 2 here in season 7 of the RAR/Triple R Miata season. Really fun here. I'm glad we got to live stream this and broadcast it as always.
I'm thinking next week I'm going to assign you to the safety car and we'll use you as an actual safety car.
I'm 100% willing to do that. Like, get me out there.
Yeah, we'll just have a random safety car lap. Oh, and the timer goes off, unfortunately. Oh. That does end the race for Max Yang, and I want to say Woohoo or Thorn. But a fun race that we had indeed today. Kind of a dominant performance from our P1 and P2 racers. What an exciting battle from the rest of the grid. Thank you, Jawa, as always, for joining me. And I guess we'll see you guys for the next one.